Somewhere beyond the recesses of time and space, two podcasters are set adrift in a machine, picking up transmissions of movies that are forgotten but not gone.
Welcome to Movie Memory Machine, the only podcast about forgotten movies that uses a time machine to go off-grid. I am your host, Landon Solano, joined always by my co-host, Truman Caps. Truman, it is good to see you.
Affirmative, Landon. It is bravo to be seen. Wait, bravo isn't the right word. It is Grenada to be seen. Is that what G is in the NATO phonetic alphabet? I don't know either. It's gamma to be seen. That's it.
You're speaking multiple languages I don't understand.
Well, you know, very on brand for today's episode.
Truman, I just want to thank you for inviting me onto your side of the machine to discuss today an issue that I think affects millions, if not billions, of men across the world.
No, absolutely. Come on in. Have a seat. Can I get you, you want coffee or something? You want any sugar or cream?
Sure, absolutely. Just don't tell my doctor.
That's great. So were you going to talk to me about something here, or?
I did that for a demonstrative reason, Truman.
Yeah?
Because today we're talking, of course, about dad traps.
I mean, I've heard people online saying that dad traps aren't a real thing and that we don't have to worry about our dads getting trapped.
Well, that is why we are having this conversation here today. If you are a dad, or a card-carrying dad-adjacent energy, you may be at risk of a dad trap.
What is a dad trap, Landon?
Have you ever settled in for a quiet evening, only to hear the faint hum of a documentary intro with a British narration and a title like The Machines That Built the Modern World?
You know, I think I kind of have smelled History Channel wafting out from under my dad's door late at night. Do you think he could be getting into a dad trap?
Have you ever walked past a TV and caught a single frame of Band of Brothers and found yourself 3 episodes deep explaining the airborne tactics of the Air Force to your dog?
Okay, so are you saying that even non-dads can be susceptible to dad traps?
and dogs, apparently.
Yeah.
Then you, my friend, have experienced a dad trap.
So who's behind the big dad traps? Where are they coming from? Like, who benefits from that? Who's the dad trap cartel?
Well, dad traps are books, TV shows, films, podcasts, documentaries, specifically designed, consciously or not, to activate the dad cortex.
And what's the dad cortex? Tell me about this dad cortex.
Once triggered, symptoms include unsolicited historical context, deeply held cinematic ranking opinions.
Wait,
Rants about practical effects.
Oh no, oh god.
Standing in front of a screen mid-movie and saying, now this is storytelling.
Okay, I'm concerned that the trap is coming from inside the house. Wait, are you saying the movie Memory Machine is a dad trap? Have we been the dads the whole time?
Now, listen, the trap isn't the media itself. The trap is the unwinnable urge to explain the media.
Okay, well then, the whole nature of podcasting then, like
Yes.
podcasting as an art form is a dad... I'm so sorry I called what we do art. Guys, I apologize. The podcasting medium is a dad trap because it is basically like collecting dad cortex types and keeping them occupied so we don't inflict this pain on the rest of the world.
It's true. That's why we are bringing awareness to it today. Do you want to know some high-risk categories of content that fall into dad traps?
Okay, yeah, let me know about it.
They don't fall into dad traps. They themselves are dad traps.
Okay, this is the content that is at risk of being a dad trap.
Okay. The historical epic. Anything with a battle scene and at least one shot of, like, a cavalry charge.
Okay.
3 words: Master and Commander.
Oh, dude, you're catching all of BlueSky.com, or shall I say every Blue Sky account I follow with this one.
Okay, well, this is why we have to get the full spectrum of awareness out there on dad traps. TV specials titled Rome, the Real Empire, Napoleon, Man or Myth, or Ancient Tech That Shouldn't Exist.
Okay, I've been catching a lot of strays here, which maybe aren't even strays. Maybe these bullets are aimed directly at me. But then you talked about Rome, and I was like, I'm not obsessed with Rome. I'm not one of those guys. And then, you motherfucker, you said Napoleon. You invoked his name.
Let's talk about some more. The War Documentary Zone.
Oh, of course.
Let's be careful of these. World War II in HD. Anything with those words involved in its marketing, title, or just technical specs.
Do you think all the guys fighting in World War II were like, boy, I hope they find technology to make this footage they're taking of us really vivid so everyone can experience all of this suffering. We just want to inflict it again and again.
Ken Burns presents anything.
Yeah. That Ken Burns Vietnam, that was a dad trap that I almost got sucked into. You know, really, Vietnam in general was kind of a dad trap for dads like Lyndon Johnson.
And then finally, under this category, YouTube channels with titles like Real Engineering or Forgotten Weapons.
You know what? I feel like we forgot those weapons for a reason, dads. Maybe we shouldn't try to remember them. I say this as though I am still not, like, right in the crosshairs of this. As though I am not blundering Elmer Fudd style into every dad trap that I come across.
Well, it's funny you say that and set yourself up just to fall right back into a dad trap, because the next category is the movie that, quote, still holds up.
Oh, okay. Now, I'm sorry, but you're acting like this is just at me. Like, our entire existence is telling people what movies still hold up.
Anyone of any age and any gender can fall into a dad trap. This is about the awareness so that we can be cognizant and go open-eyed into the dad traps.
So we're redefining the concept of a dad, basically. So now men who have actually fathered children have to have, like, an asterisk next to their name saying, like, no, this is actually a dad in the traditional sense, not the idiot shit from that podcast.
Yes, right, because who gives a shit about traditional senses anyway? Here's what falls under the movie that still holds up.
Okay.
Movies like Heat.
Well, but obviously.
But only the coffee shop scene.
I think, no, the shootout in Heat is very much a dad trap.
Okay,
that 10-minute video of that on YouTube, like, all
the weapons, the accuracy.
Yeah, it's shooting. Okay, it's like, because the sound design is really good. Like, the bullets sound so loud.
Crimson Tide.
I actually have no idea. I've heard that name so many times, I don't actually know what that is. I know it's a movie.
Submarines.
Oh, it's Submarines. Biff. Okay.
The Fugitive.
Okay. You're just listing good movies, though.
They still hold up. They still hold up.
Yeah, but obviously, The Fugitive goes really hard. All of these movies go hard.
Any film described as underrated because it bombed at the box office, but now has a cult following.
Okay, I mean, again, you're just listing subjects that we discussed at parties.
Yes.
Okay.
It's correct.
Okay.
Yes. We only have two more. We have one more category, and I got some bonus ones for you if you're still into it.
Not many public service announcements have a bonus round at the end of them. That's very interesting.
The sci-tech spiral. You ready for these? How it's made.
Yeah.
So the science and technology come together.
Yeah. Show me a cross section of the inside of that thing.
I've been doing a lot of this.
Yeah.
Now look at this.
He's pointing at himself right now.
Mythbusters.
Ah, yes, Mythbusters. I mean, look, I was getting dad trapped by that when I was in high school.
Books about how the Enigma machine worked.
Yeah. No thank you for me, but yeah, I can see that as a dad trap.
Any film or show that includes the phrase based on real science, even if it's just a guy in a turtleneck talking confidently.
Well, that's where science comes from. It's all guys in turtlenecks. The lab coat thing is a myth.
That's true. Bonus dad traps.
Okay.
Just a few.
So wait, if the dads haven't been caught by all of the other traps.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, here's a few more. Any novel with a map in the front.
Dangerous.
Non-fiction books that weigh more than 3 pounds.
Okay.
The Truman biography.
Yeah. Which I did not read. My dad gave it to me, and I was like, oh, Dad, this is pretty long. I know it's kind of my deal, but no thanks.
You know what? I think I would feel obliged to read a book if it was named Landon.
Well, just built different, I guess.
Kudos to you. You have successfully escaped the dad trap.
You have not. You underestimate my commitment to illiteracy.
Bookstore sections titled "Military Strategy" or "Transportation Innovation."
Okay.
Trains.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You don't have to keep. Yeah.
Airplanes.
Yeah. I get it. I understand. You're pointing at more things that maybe I like.
And I'm just gonna throw this one in just for fun's sake, funsies.
Yeah.
Clive Cussler.
Well, no, Clive Cussler is like the end boss of dad traps. So are dad's pelts valuable? Like, why are we being trapped at this rate?
Well, okay, let me give you a little cautionary tale.
Okay, well, this doesn't really answer my question, but I guess I'll take the cautionary tale.
It will.
Oh, it will? Okay,
yes,
it better.
Will. All right,
Here's your little cautionary tale.
Yeah. Let's say you're walking through the house.
Yeah.
And someone's watching a movie.
Yeah.
Okay. And you hear, whether it's on the TV or it's someone in the living room, say, Napoleon wasn't actually that short, you know. And your brain starts tingling, and your hand starts drifting toward the remote, and you feel an overwhelming sense to monologue on mute about the Battle of Austerlitz.
Yeah, because that was the first one where really shit kicked off. You know, that was what started the whole band. You know, wasn't that the one where they were on the ice and they had to his soldiers laid down and rolled off to distribute their body weight?
Leipzig.
Different. Leipzig. Oh no, listeners, guess what? It's been a dad trap the whole time.
You stepped into a dad trap, and it was a trap that was laid for you, and you fell for it.
Wow.
I have some recommendations.
Okay.
What you can do if you suspect that you're being dad trapped.
All right.
Remember the following. You don't need to pause the movie.
Well,
to monologue and explain what's happening.
Maybe people wanna hear the dialogue in the movie and not have it be talked over by a dad. I think that's honestly a courtesy.
Okay, let's revise that bullet point to say you don't need to pause the movie to monologue about what's happening on screen.
Oh, you could just not monologue about what's happening on
Bingo.
screen. Boom.
Yes.
Hey, record a podcast later. Put that, put it in a box in the form of a podcast and bury it.
This is another thing you can do. You just keep this in mind. You don't have to tell everyone that Saving Private Ryan got the landing scene mostly right.
Yeah, that sounds good. That's public service.
And you are allowed to just watch The Hunt for Red October without explaining sonar.
Yeah, I mean, but can I talk about how The Hunt for Red October really holds up?
It still holds up.
It really does. It goes incredibly hard, much like those other movies.
Well, so, if that's the case, instead of doing those things, what you can do is just repeat this mantra. It's not my job to explain submarine protocol.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to remember that so often, especially now that we are in kind of a contained, like, limited air supply, tight quarters type situation here aboard the machine.
Yes. So there's no shame in being dad trapped. It happens to us all, regardless of age, gender, whether you're a dad. And, you fall into a Cold War spiral or, a gritty aerial dogfight, and you just have to engage with it. You're seen, you're loved, and now you have some awareness so that when the History Channel rerun is on, you can enjoy losing your entire Saturday evening to it and not feeling like you were trapped into it.
So what you're saying is it's pointless to try and fight dad traps. You have to just enjoy being trapped by them. It's
the awareness. Yes, go into dad traps with open eyes.
It's like a PSA that's like, hey kids, cocaine makes you feel amazing. So you're not going to be able to resist cocaine, but hey, just lie in the recovery position and be sure to hydrate and have lots of toilet paper on hand. Okay, so today's movie, though, if I may,
yes,
is it possible for a dad trap to fail, like a poorly constructed dad trap?
Here's the thing about the true dad traps is I don't think they can ever truly fail. They can just exist. Like the point of something being a dad trap is that there is an inherent love of the content surrounding it that cushions the fall from anything really bombing.
So you're saying there are enthusiast dads out there who are passionate enough about topics such as, say, counterterrorism operations in the Middle East circa 2008, that even if the movie itself maybe doesn't have as much pizzazz as The Hunt for Red October, you'll still find them standing there watching it, stopping channel surfing to watch it, and later telling people that Body of Lies, directed by Ridley Scott, actually really holds up.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and we can point to some other films that have maybe more resonance for us in a minute, but just to orient people for this episode, let's talk about one of the most dad trap movies we've ever done. Today, the machine has made us watch Body of Lies from 2008. Truman, I've got you targeted from a satellite drone, watching your every movement as you extract for us a synopsis.
And look, I am going to try and do better than the protagonist in this movie and only get like 20 completely innocent people killed along the way. CIA agent Roger Ferris, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, is a crack counterterrorism operative hot on the trail of a dangerous terrorist leader called al-Salim. Working on the ground in Iraq and Jordan, Ferris, who is fluent in Arabic and well-versed in the local culture, works to build relationships with intelligence assets to try and get information to prevent al-Salim's next attack. But he's frequently stymied by his boss, Ed Hoffman, played by Russell Crowe, a brash southerner whose shoot-first, ask-questions-later style often jeopardizes Ferris's operations and harms their relationships with allies. Ferris hatches a plan to fake a terrorist attack and frame an innocent man for it, in order to draw al-Salim out of hiding. But his carefully laid plans come into conflict with Hoffman's impatience, the political machinations of a Jordanian government official named Hani Salam, played by Mark Strong, and Ferris's attempts to romance Aisha, a beautiful Jordanian nurse played by Golshifteh Arufani.
I hate being stymied.
I wrote the word stymied, and I was like, is that the right word to use for a podcast? No. Surely everybody's up on stymied, a really awkward and dumb word. But what am I going to do? Think of a different word? No, thank you. That's not my profession.
It's the perfect word for movie memory machine.
Yeah, exactly. We've been stymied in the plot of this movie all week, and I am, much like several American presidents, eager to extract from it.
Truman, I have forgotten the details of your synopsis already. I've forgotten the details of this movie that I watched today and that I have seen before.
Yeah, you said this is the most dad-trappy movie we've ever watched. I completely do not believe that. We've done multiple more dad-trappy movies than this, but also, I don't think this movie can trap anyone because it is impossible to remember. This is our most forgettable movie, I think.
It might be. Yes, when I was done with this, I was like, it brought back hints of Poltergeist and Barnyard for me. I remember... I have rewritten memories of Barnyard in my head from our conversations about it, but I remember when we were recording, live, in that moment being like, I don't know that I can talk about this movie because I don't recall what happens in this movie.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about Barnyard so much. I mean, I love that you just say our conversations about Barnyard, plural. Like, we've talked about it so much that it's like, I think it's proven that it's much more memorable than this film.
Our conversation about it was more memorable than the movie. I don't know that that'll be true today, but this, you're right, might be the most forgettable movie we've ever done.
So, listeners, if we seem sort of squiffy on what went on in this movie or what it's actually about, just trust that we tried. We did the work, and I'd like to see you do better. I'm sorry, that was a very confrontational tone to take with our listeners. I apologize.
Well, let's since we alluded to it, I alluded to it already. Let's talk a little bit about your previous experience with this movie. I'm gonna just assume you haven't seen it before.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, then my question to you changes, which is, what was your awareness of this movie?
Since we've been making the podcast, I've looked around online for other subreddits or threads on Twitter or Blue Sky where people are talking about forgotten movies to kind of just get a sense for if other people have our same sickness. And Body of Lies is a movie that people have repeatedly in multiple Reddit threads brought up as one of the quintessential forgotten movies. It's someone called it like the most forgotten movie to ever make over $100 million or something like that.
I think that's a pretty accurate moniker. Let's put that on the board and track that as we do more movies, because that might be like an M3 award we give.
It really is, but like I don't know how you compete with this. Like Lightning Jack feels just like so crisp and present in my mind compared to Body of Lies, the movie that I watched a few days ago.
Well, this is interesting, isn't it? Because it's like it's showing the different gradients of forgottenness. There's like a movie that is weird and obscure, but it's forgotten in its obscureness. It's not forgotten in its like approach to providing you story or content or character or anything that would normally enter your head and stay there. Like, it's a completely different beast to a degree.
Yes, there like something like Lightning Jack is also, even for all its failings as a movie, it is still kind of a monument to Paul Hogan's arrogance, which is fun to think about and consider. There's nothing fun to think about or consider in this movie.
But there's one angle, and I'm going to hit it hard multiple times throughout this, which is where Russell Crowe was in his career. But beyond that, every single step of this movie, from what we're seeing on screen to the book it's based on to how it came to be, the production of it, filming, the marketing of it, like just across the board, the most like boring, told this at a party and everyone fell asleep story there was. Like, Ridley Scott, an established director known for technical proficiency, put together a CIA counterterrorism spy thriller starring Leo DiCaprio, who was in his try to get an Oscar phase, and he does a lot of cell phone acting.
Yeah.
And it tries to be serious and deal with serious stuff, and in doing so just becomes, and also not trying to be too controversial, it just like falls so, this is the equinox. This movie is what everything else balances on.
Yeah, truly. It's I don't know, there's some yacht rock podcast that evaluates every yacht rock song on the What a Fool Believes scale. Like, if it gets 100, it is the song What a Fool Believes. This is our What a Fool Believes. This is the quintessential forgotten movie. Okay, but so what was your experience with Body of Lies? Did you get trapped by this? I mean, this was in the era when you seemed to be seeing every movie.
It kind of was. I mean, this is 2 years into living in LA, so I was maybe a little bit more discerning. I wasn't going through a breakup. So, I maybe kind of remember it being marketed, but again, in the talk about Russell Crowe in a minute, it blends together with two other films. Russell Crowe on a cell phone trilogy is what I'm going to call it.
So Gladiator's one of those, right?
Kind of. Not ready to talk about Russell Crowe yet, but I'm going to pull some curtains back on the history of this podcast.
Oh.
And
okay, we're going E True Hollywood Story with this. All right.
Our trivia for season 1 was that even though The Legend of Tarzan came out third or fourth in our run, we had recorded it first and like a year before we did the rest of the season.
Yes.
Body of Lies was the film we had slated as the very first episode we were going to do.
The machine, by which you mean the machine had initially gone beep boop, Body of Lies, spat that one out at us.
Exactly is what I meant by that.
Yeah.
And the machine beep booped the book to me. It beep booped the Blu-ray to me. And so I watched it, assuming it was going to be the first episode the machine made us do. I read the book. And that was my first like experience with the film, watching the film.
Yeah.
That was in 2022. I want to say.
Yeah, we've been in here a minute. Yeah.
I might as well have not watched it. I put it on today and was like, what is any of this?
Well, and so because when we first, you got it first, the machine didn't send it to me, and you actually came back and were like, I don't think we can start with this one. And your reason at the time was that it being a movie that is a lot about torture and bombings, it might be kind of a bummer start. But was it also that it's just like, I feel like this would have been a bad one for us to launch the whole show on, because it's you have to have a baseline of other movies that are sort of forgotten but not this forgettable.
Yeah, this hits the concept too hard that you like have to explain the concept again in the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think now that we have a baseline of like what are we talking about when we say forgotten movies, we can go into this going, this is the epitome.
I mean, this is like there have been lots of movies that have been forgotten. This is like the most forgettable, like in every aspect of I feel like the construction of it.
That is a great distinction to make. We're a forgotten movie podcast. We talk about movies that have been forgotten and that are forgettable.
Yes. And boy, this one checks both those boxes really hard.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
So hard. Let me just run down some of the cast and crew once more, and then we'll get into some box office stuff. This is a leading man role pre-Oscar for Leo DiCaprio as our man on the ground.
Yep.
Russell Crowe as the man picking up his girl from soccer practice, but still on a CIA secretive phone call. Mark Strong, Oscar Isaac in a small appearance, directed by Ridley Scott, written by
William Monahan, who wrote The Departed and won Best Adapted Screenplay for it, and has done
dad trap. He's done nothing but he's a dad trap writer.
Okay. I mean, sure, maybe. But he wrote Kingdom of Heaven, which Ridley Scott directed before this.
Yes.
All about the Crusades. Dad Trap. Oh,
Edge of Darkness, a revenge thriller starring Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
The Gambler, Mark Wahlberg, kind of gritty crime, tongue-in-cheek.
And that's also the name of a Kenny Rogers song, which is also a dad trap.
Yes. And then one of the most dad trappy things that have ever trapped in the world, he wrote The Tender Bar, directed by George Clooney and starring Ben Affleck.
Now, remind me, because I only saw some trailers, is the basic concept of that movie, what if a Boston bartender in the 70s was woke, basically?
Oh, I don't know that much detail, but I think you could have stopped at what if a Boston bartender in the 70s and left it at that.
Okay. You start at the highlight, really, with The Departed, and then maybe you scale down a little bit from there. I've heard Kingdom of Heaven actually goes pretty hard, though. I heard that it's really held up.
Yeah, Kingdom of Heaven and Alexander and Troy. Those are three films that I feel like were adjusted for their theatrical release, but the director's cut of all those films are actually pretty good. And I damned it with the faint praise of actually there. But I've only seen the director's cut of Troy, and that movie rocks. But I'm a Greek mythology head, so I'm apt to like it to begin with. So maybe don't take me at my word.
I think some dads have been trapped in Greek mythology as well, Landon.
Oh, it's all about dad traps. Should we talk some box office specs?
What was it? Okay, so it's Icarus's son, right? Who flies too close to... Which is the one who flies too close to the sun and his wings melt?
Hephaestus' son is Icarus, who creates the wings made of wax that flies too close to the sun, and he falls and drowns.
Okay. So the sun is a literal sun trap, then.
Yes, exactly. But he then went on to create the labyrinth, which is a trap for the Minotaur. So,
oh shit! And okay, well, so that now we need to know what he lured the Minotaur in there with, and then that is the Minotaur a dad? We will find out.
You know what? There's a new wave of feminist Greek mythology books that's been popular for the last decade. I haven't heard one about the Minotaur yet.
Well, that's great. So, folks, as you can see, the movie Body of Lies, directed by Ridley Scott, is really good because we're just sitting here doing Greek mythology bits. We're talking about shit that was written thousands of years ago that is vastly more memorable to us than this movie that we both watched in the past few days.
Welcome to Movie Memory Machine Correction Corner. I am your host, Landon Solano. Just to pop in with a quick correction for your host, Landon Solano, in this episode. I was talking about Hephaestus being the father of Icarus. Turns out that Daedalus was the father of Icarus. So, okay, that was a mistake. That's on me. But Daedalus was actually maybe an offspring of Hephaestus. The ancient texts don't go into much explicit detail about the lineage of Hephaestus, as he was a minor character in Greek lore who just made shit for gods and demigods. It'd be like having an extensive character background on cue from James Bond, just not necessary. I'm once again just trying to defend myself. It was an innocent mistake. Anyway, thank you for listening to this episode of Movie Memory Machine Correction Corner. We now return you to the podcast already in progress. Oh, I watched this literally 5 hours ago.
We delayed our recording by a week, and I was like, I should probably watch the movie again before we record. But it was like, man, it sucks so much, though. I think I'll just review my notes.
Body of Lies was released on October 10th, 2008 by Warner Brothers Pictures. It opened wide. Do you want to guess how many theaters?
Oh, God, I don't know.
The way I phrased that for some reason.
It sounds weird, but yeah, 3,000 theaters?
There aren't that many dads in the world.
Okay, I don't know, man. You made it sound like 75% of human beings on Earth are dads. I don't know, 2,800?
I think we'll give it to you on that one. It is 2714 is the report I read.
Okay, so it didn't go as wide as, say, Barnyard, but I guess you can't
Not
take
quite.
the kids to see Body of Lies.
The estimated budget, I actually saw a pretty wide range on this, anywhere from 67.5 to 100 million, so somewhere in that range.
Okay.
However, my brief research, which is apt to be faulty because there isn't a lot of reporting on it, says that the marketing budget for this was actually a little bit lower than normal. I think partly because of the niche audience and it's rated R and the content maybe.
Yeah.
Is only about 20 million. So I say let's just round up to an even 100 million for the total budget on that.
Okay.
Does that sound accurate to you? That's an $80 million budget and 20 million for marketing.
Yeah, I'm not going to dispute any of that.
Well, I want to get that number in place when we talk about how much it grossed so that we can determine if this is a success or not.
So we can react accordingly, yeah.
Yeah. Domestically, this thing makes $39.4 million.
39.4 million. Okay.
Internationally, it makes $75.7 million.
What? What?
And that brings it to a total of about $115 million.
What? Like, what in this movie was so appealing that it made, like, nearly twice as much money overseas? Like, because I feel like this isn't selling out theaters in, say, Jordan. I don't think it makes the Middle East look pretty good, so those audiences
I don't know that they're a huge market anyway, but...
Yeah.
This brings up a question I have for this, which is, like, do you market this movie internationally in 2008? Do you put more emphasis there because we're still too close to, like, criticizing the 9/11 era? Is it like a little too soon?
I don't know, man. I think that, like, by 2008, when this movie came out, I mean, everyone agreed that the Iraq War was dumb and based on lies at this point. It was hella unpopular, and people were like, it was more acceptable at this point to say, wait, we went too far with this stuff. Not far enough to end the Forever Wars or anything, but,
Right. Well, let me ask you, because you were more up on history than I am, especially recent history.
But also Napoleon.
But, well, I think we're equal footing on Napoleon maybe at this point. But
wait, when are we doing our Napoleon podcast or Napolecast?
Napoleon.
Oh, Napoleon, duh.
When was it starting to come out, like Guantanamo Bay and our advanced interrogation tactics? Because that wasn't, like, in the throes of 2001 and shortly thereafter. That information started to slowly trickle out over time, and that's why I'm wondering if maybe, like, if this is when it started to become a little more unignorable in the public consciousness, that they were like, okay, let's try this in other markets who are more eager to see a even-handed criticism of what we're doing.
Well, look, the Abu Ghraib torture and prisoner abuse scandal at the prison in Iraq, there's that famous picture of the man wearing the hood with the electrodes attached to him, and younger listeners, Americans were doing that. That was our people. That was the quote-unquote good guys who did that. Yeah. That happened in 2004, so this was...
It happened the scandal happened in 2004.
It broke. It came out in April of 2004, and yet Americans still were like, no, 4 more years of the Bushes. But so this, like, it was, I think, pretty well known that there were abuses happening. Guantanamo Bay, and again, I'm speaking as someone who was living in Oregon in a, somewhat progressive household, so I was maybe more attuned to the talk about it, but like there was controversy about Guantanamo Bay and the way that we were treating people there, and torture and enhanced interrogation techniques, all of that. Like I feel like this was very much in the mainstream, in the news, a subject of debate, and I think that this movie was releasing this movie in the United States, I mean, this would be sort of a think PC movie, like, oh, this is about a thing that is in a subject of mainstream debate. Like saying the Americans are torturing people and it's bad, that was common knowledge that stuff was going on, and it was a subject of controversy. By 2008, yeah. There were, Senate hearings and stuff.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, then, how do you account for the fact that this opens in its opening weekend number 3 at the box office?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is a movie that you can sell with. There's big explosions in this movie, and there's Leonardo DiCaprio, who a couple times is running forward while firing a small submachine gun, and there's helicopters flying low to the ground. I think that this movie looks enough like a kick-ass counterterrorism movie that there's a certain kind of built-in audience for that. Like I knew a guy at one point in my life who watched the TV show Army Wives simply because it was about the army and some of the scenes were set at bases in the Middle East. There's just an audience.
Well, my question was more, how do you account for it not being number 1? This is the first time pairing of DiCaprio and Ridley Scott. Russell Crowe is teaming up with Ridley Scott again. To all your points about it being action-y, like, why doesn't it hit number 1?
I don't know that Ridley Scott is the name that gets. I don't know that is a name that gets gigantic quantities of butts into seats. The way that this is a Spielberg movie, or this is a Michael Bay movie. Like when you say this is a Ridley Scott movie, the people who respond to that are dickbags like us, who are like, oh, Blade Runner, oh, there were 4 different cuts of it, and one of them had voiceover, but Harrison Ford did it poorly because he didn't like it. Like, I think that it's just Ridley Scott, even though he is a known quantity as a director, he doesn't have the sort of draw that other big directors have, and there isn't the wide appeal to like seeing him collaborate with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Let's earmark that for right after the box office. I want to finish this out because I have a lot of thoughts about that.
Well, okay, let's go through it then. Let's rush to that shit.
So why did this not hit number 1? Let's just talk about the top 5 movies.
Yeah.
In terms of its competition.
Mm-hmm.
This is, in fact, I'm going to go in reverse order.
Okay.
Coming in at number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
Okay. Michael Cera,
Kat Denning in a What If Hollywood Did Mumblecore. That was in its second week too.
Okay.
Coming in at number 4. Speaking of Spielberg produced stuff, in its third week, Eagle Eye.
Eagle Eye.
That is Shia LaBeouf is being surveilled.
Oh, okay.
Michelle Monaghan.
All right. Okay, so that's also kind of trying to say something about the 21st century war on terror surveillance state stuff. People were having a lot of big thoughts in 2008.
Yeah, I do actually remember. Like, this was a time when I think technology and the internet was kind of taking a different tone and tenor of social media and data
Facebook.
Exchanges, and like, I think you're going to see a lot of that in the late aughts.
Yeah. So social media is taking off. Drew Barrymore is trying to meet a man on MySpace. We're using the internet in a different way.
Body of Lies coming in at number 3 in its first week. Number 2 in its first week, Quarantine.
Wait, is that the Steven Soderbergh movie?
No. Quarantine is the American remake of a Spanish film called REC.
Oh, right. Yeah, the demons in the apartment and it's found footage.
Yeah, with a newscaster starring Jennifer Carpenter. So a remake of a Spanish horror film beats out... Well, granted, it is October, so that makes sense. But
yeah.
Coming in at number 1, though, in its second week,
okay,
holding on to that top spot,
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Ooh, wow. Wow, Leonardo
you remember
DiCaprio.
a time when people thought the nadir of cinema was Beverly Hills Chihuahua?
Wow, I do remember people like being upset that was a movie that got made, and boy, I want to go back. Frankly, like clearly the people wanted that. I mean, I would much rather Beverly Hills Chihuahua than Red Notice.
Beverly Hills Chihuahua hasn't been reappraised. I actually feel like it's been a little bit forgotten. Do you think that the machine might throw it at us? And do you think there's potential for it to be like a Cats level camp sort of enjoyable ride?
I mean, do you think there's a chance that we're going to stumble into a dad trap saying, Beverly Hills Chihuahua really holds up? Do you think there's a Heat-style coffee shop scene where the Beverly Hills Chihuahua and, like, his arch-rival, the Redondo Beach Chihuahua, like, talk to each other?
They just stare at each other with big googly eyes for, 3.5 minutes? How long does that scene go?
Yeah, they're just lapping coffee up out of their saucers, spreading it everywhere. Okay, so that's an interesting state of affairs. Russell Crowe and Leonardo DiCaprio getting smoked by the Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Can you imagine? Because this is in DiCaprio's, like, I fucking need an Oscar phase.
Mm-hmm. That was a long phase.
It was so long. And this is right in the middle of it. Like, this is post Blood Diamond. This is post...
The Departed.
Yeah, 2 years after The Departed.
Departed.
Where, like... He's just throwing himself so hard into every role.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so hard that he wore brown-eyed contact lenses in this film.
I know. What is it with forgettable movies and leading men wearing contacts? At least, I mean, I feel like he wanted to wear the brown contacts in this, right? He wasn't forced to by Clive Cussler.
There is a literary reason why, and it did not make it into the movie. We'll see if we'll get to it in a minute. But
much like in all the books, Dirk Pitt has green eyes.
Exactly.
Authors, stop specifying the eye color of your male protagonists. It is making leading men's lives worse.
Listen, you know what? As being aware of dad traps, I think let's lead the movement into getting authors to stop describing the color of their male protagonists' eyes and the size of their breasts.
Yes, exactly. Please. Oh, he brown-eyedly across the room. Jeez, we get it, you pervert. You love brown eyes.
Okay, to finalize this, this stayed in theaters for about 14 weeks. Really quickly declined out of the top 10 after its first week. It dropped 47% from weekend 1 to 2.
Yeah, it's dropped 47% in my brain since I saw it.
More for me.
Why keep it in theaters for 14 weeks? Like, what even is the point? You could get another screening of Beverly Hills Chihuahua instead of keep dragging out Body of Lies into the Christmas season.
Okay, do we want to talk details about this movie, or do you want to go into Ridley Scott? I feel like we've been doing a lot of, like, talking around the movie. I'm happy to go into my Ridley Scott stuff, but
let's talk details of the movie. Okay. All right. It is if you've seen the movie Sicario,
yes.
I think
very recently for the first time, actually.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, this movie is thematically similar to Sicario because it's, also a kind of good-looking, action-y thriller about a hot-button current event issue that relates to the way that the United States gets along with other countries and other races. And I just think it's, like, worse than Sicario in every way. But I mean, it's like, would you agree that there's similarities here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would not question that at all. For me specifically, like, this film isn't poorly made.
No.
I think the difference between this and a Sicario is, like, the passion behind Sicario of, like, wanting to make a point. You have performers that are, like, caring about characterization and throwing themselves into things, and to some degree, like, without compromising the seriousness of the content, it does go, this is also going to be a suspenseful, thrilling, entertaining movie.
Yeah, and I agree with all of that except for that, like, I think this movie wants to say something. This movie is wanting to say something, and the performers in it, especially Leonardo DiCaprio, are throwing themselves into it. The issue is that it wants to say something, and then we're like, okay, movie, what do you have to say? And it's like, terrorism.
Here's what I'll say, is this will be the first mention of the book, which, again, I haven't read in, 3 years, so my details are a little sketchy. But
you didn't reread The Forgettable, but why is this a shame? You put in all that effort and it just slipped right out.
I did brush up on a few notes on it. I did, when I read it at the time, I put sticky notes in it so that I know what areas to revisit. But
you go to the Spark Notes for Body of Lies.
The author of it, David Ignatius, is a Washington Post reporter, and I think in his book, he wanted to make a point and commentary through a narrative. What ends up happening is, I think Ridley Scott or the Hollywood system, or both, are just like, cool, but we can't make that much commentary because we won't get the budget we need to pay the stars that we want to be in this movie. So that's where, like, the lack of passion comes from. I can easily see a scenario where DiCaprio is like, okay, what's going to be my next project? Cool, that's a little edgy. I can really throw myself into it. It's serious enough content that I can be taken seriously as an Oscar contender. Let me help produce that or help get that made. And through the process of it going through the Hollywood system, the message of it goes away. So I don't think I think the book was trying to say something. I don't think the movie's trying to say anything.
Yeah, it sort of became forgettable by, like, 1,000 cuts. There were a lot of things like, well, if we just take kind of this scene out, or we reword this thing or something, and take it and it got toned down enough that all of the realism, because I think this movie is pretty realistic. I mean, David Ignatius has been a foreign correspondent for like 40 years. He's lived on the ground in a lot of these countries. Like, the movie's realistic, and it's definitely gritty and intense, but it's just not, like, all the bits then where all of that is in service of a message, that message and point of view is just not there.
Well, that's, okay. Now, I'm going to say something, and I don't know if I agree with it exactly, but you just said something that triggered something we've talked about in the past, which is the difference between gritty realism and truth. And moviegoers want truth. I don't know that this movie's very truthful.
No.
Like, what is it saying? What is it conveying? What hypocrisy is it showing? What, compromises are we making as a country, as a nation, as humankind, as individuals? I don't think it's revealing any truth about anything, but it is gritty and realistic.
Yeah, it's showing you a lot of things, but it's not commenting on them. But even then, the movie doesn't seem to have a point of view about the things that it's showing you. So, like, a lot of this movie is that you're following the American spies, Leonardo DiCaprio and Russell Crowe, who are in the Middle East and are doing all this stuff. They will lie to people. They will form alliances with Middle Eastern people on the ground. And then, despite Leonardo DiCaprio's best efforts, due to Russell Crowe's machinations, those people will get killed. A lot of collateral damage. But the movie doesn't seem to be like... Obviously, the movie doesn't think that's a good thing, but it's also not trying to present like, wow, look, we're just as bad as the terrorists. Or, like, it doesn't have this sort of... Whereas a movie like Sicario, it is very much about the border and the drug cartels and everything, but that movie very clearly has the point of view that we have dehumanized ourselves just as much as them in order to fight them.
The scaffolding is there, but there's no psychological depth to this.
Yes.
Like, as you said, like, you want to look on the paper and see the kind of, like, disconnected nature of the Russell Crowe side of things. His actions and decisions have real world consequences, and a lot of people die because of them, but he's not interacting with those people. Leonardo DiCaprio is. So there is a comparison on paper of, like, DiCaprio sees the consequences of this kind of bureaucratic decision making from DC, but the movie makes no psychological, like, impact on either of the characters in a way that resonates with the viewers to go, well, this is bad. It's just kind of like left to the viewer to go, well, that doesn't seem right, and maybe I need to think a little bit harder about how my government works.
Yeah, like, because the relationship between Leonardo DiCaprio and Russell Crowe doesn't change really throughout the movie, even though we repeatedly watch like Russell Crowe be responsible for things that fuck up what Leonardo DiCaprio is trying to do, kill people who Leonardo DiCaprio was trying to save, and jeopardize relationships that he was trying to cultivate.
Let's talk specifics for a little bit. One scene that comes to mind that kind of represents that idea is when Russell Crowe, one of the only times in the movie, goes to the Middle East and has this meeting. Again, the details have completely slipped my mind, so please help me fill them in. But
well, they're talking about the subject of terrorism.
Well, yes, but this is more about how to turn an asset, right?
Yeah, one of their assets, one of these informants who they are working with, who is at a safe house, and this guy, I believe, he does not want to become a martyr. He doesn't want to be a part of jihad. He is talking to a Jordanian intelligence agency, and basically Russell Crowe wants them to give the Americans all the information about this guy, but the Jordanians don't want to because the Americans tend to be sloppy with this information.
Yeah, and the way, like, Mark Strong is on the other side of this, and he is talking about, like, tried and true methods of extracting information. You have to put the time in, and you have to, like, do it in a certain way, and the American way is unreliable and does not get you the information, and if you do, it's not usable information, and it burns the asset.
Yes.
And Russell Crowe in the scene is like, he hasn't been there, he hasn't cultivated this relationship with Mark Strong. Leonardo DiCaprio has. DiCaprio's also in the scene and has to play second fiddle to Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe's there to kind of just show the pomposity of American power.
Yeah.
And like, here's how this is going to go. This is a negotiation, right? Where you wouldn't be able to do the things you want to do or do.
Nice. Got him.
Without
comedy podcast.
The American contributions and resources. And if you don't want those to go away, then you gotta be open to play the game here.
Yeah, and it's just the movie presents this as like he is that way in kind of all of his interactions with the Middle Easterners and always talking about them. He looks down on Middle Eastern people and has this very much "we're America, we'll do whatever we want" kind of callous, brash attitude. And that's just sort of that's just kind of all he does for the movie, and he never really he never really is challenged. Like, Leonardo DiCaprio yells at him about it a bunch, but like he never really faces any consequence for it, and he never seems to be forced to grapple with it in any way. And I'm not saying he needs to be, but it's just this guy is just kind of moving through the movie being an asshole and a counterproductive asshole in every scene for no dramatic purpose.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a narrative purpose, right? I mean, like, it's okay. No, I don't want to go into Russell Crowe yet, but let's talk about his character. Like,
he seems like a good dad.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's present physically. He's not there mentally for
he helps his kid pee early in the morning while talking Leonardo DiCaprio through a military operation.
Yeah, that's the other kind of part to his character that they're trying to like juxtapose, which is like the real world consequences of what he's saying and doing and orchestrating while he is unloading soccer balls for his daughter's, practice.
Yeah. I think
the mundaneness of that.
Yes, which is clearly intentional, and I don't want to scoop you on Ridley Scott stuff, but I just don't know if Ridley Scott is capable of really highlighting the contrast or the irony there of a guy at soccer practice coaching Leonardo DiCaprio through framing an innocent man for an act of terrorism. Like, it's just all a little too frosty and isolated for the irony of that to hit.
Okay, let's talk about Ridley Scott. I think that's a good segue. We gave a little taste of the movie. Now let's talk about Ridley Scott.
You don't need many tastes of this movie, folks. We'll get into it and out of it, but they're chasing terrorists in the Middle East. If you've watched an episode of 24, you've probably seen something better than this.
If you can picture Leo DiCaprio on a cell phone talking angrily, you've seen, I'd say, 30% of this movie.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott. Okay, you made the comparison of him and Steven Spielberg. It occurred to me in thinking about Ridley Scott that I think he is extremely underrated as far as in the pantheon of iconic directors.
I'm interested to see where this goes. I've never heard Ridley Scott underrated as a take.
Okay, well, let's and I'm not sticking to that. I'm just saying this is my thought. Now, I'm going to ask you to do something that we did with George Clooney back on the Money Monster episode.
Okay.
If you had to list movies that are undeniable classics, not border cases, but classics that Ridley Scott directed, what would you name?
Well, of course, Alien, you've got Blade Runner, you've got Gladiator, and based on the amount of money that it made, although I wasn't, like, the hugest fan, I think The Martian might be up there. I mean, a lot of people saw it, very popular book. So right there already off the dome, you got 4 movies from different decades across a large span of career.
Thelma and Louise.
Black
Hawk Down.
Of course, yeah. Also, I mean, this isn't a movie, but the famous Apple 1984 commercial, which they aired one time, that made a huge cultural impact. That was Ridley Scott.
Yeah. And you're talking... So, okay, right there you've got 5 or 6 just undeniable classic films.
Sure, yeah.
So you compare that to the average director, and it's like, what? Okay, Ridley Scott is in the pantheon. I don't think you could deny that. He's not a director that has one classic. He has multiple classics.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, how does that stack up to Spielberg? Now, go ahead and do it with Spielberg.
Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan, Jaws, Indiana Jones. Yeah, Indiana Jones. And then Last Crusade also. And Amistad and Hook, which no one wants to forget. No. So I don't know, but there's more though. There's more than that. I mean, there's
slightly more. Slightly more.
But Steven Spielberg's movies have a very distinctive look. They have a very distinctive sense of fun to them. Even Steven Spielberg's movies that are not as well known or not as popular are bangers. And
same with Ridley Scott.
And his worst movies are still fun and interesting. Again, Hook.
Well, here are some lesser known, like you might know the film, you might not know it was Ridley Scott. I mean, we can just leave off the recent Alien movies, but you've got Matchstick Men.
That's good.
You've got G.I. Jane.
Okay. Wow, forgot that was him.
You've got Black Rain with Michael Douglas.
Okay. Yeah, that was the VHS cover I remember, yeah.
You've got the fascinating, although somewhat boring, Legend with Tom Cruise and Tim Curry as the devil.
Yeah, that fascinates me right there.
So right there, that's another 5 films that he's done. And then you go into critically acclaimed stuff like American Gangster. And we talked about Kingdom of Heaven already. Everyone, I think, across the board is like, let's just forget Hannibal existed. But
you have House of Gucci. You get to see Lady Gaga getting railed by Adam Driver.
Yeah.
Come on, that's what everyone wants.
And Truman, there's a big one. The biggest dad trap of them all.
What?
Napoleon.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, look, I boycotted that Napoleon movie because I didn't think it was historically accurate enough. So, what's the bigger dad trap? Okay, so
the bigger dad trap is watching Napoleon, the theatrical cut, and then watching Napoleon, the 4-hour director's cut.
And then watching Napoleon Dynamite and being like, this is historically inaccurate too. Okay, look, I'll grant you, he has directed a lot of bangers. I feel like he's very technically proficient, but I think that if there's heart to his movies, if there is like real heart and soul to his movies, that comes very much from the screenplay, and he's not imbuing that to them himself.
Yeah. Okay, and I don't like. That's where it's like, well, what are the criteria that we're comparing directors on? Like, Ridley Scott is his own thing. Like, you wouldn't ask a Hitchcock film to have heart and soul either. Like, Ridley Scott is very much a stylist, and he is bringing a certain level of technical expertise and accuracy to his films that other directors don't. It's just kind of his mark, right? And
sure.
as that mark goes, like, for what he does and what he wants to do with his career, you know, like or hate the movies, like, he is successful at doing his thing. And I think for that reason, he's kind of underrated because he's seen as a stylist, not as a, you know, Spielberg type.
Okay, I mean, sure. I guess perhaps I had slightly underrated him myself. I just also think, you know, to go back to the Sicario comparison, Denis Villeneuve gives every scene in that movie a distinct vibe. There is a feeling of kind of oppression and being unsettled. Every shot has like this almost like it's a very composed like piece of art, something like that. And I just you know, this movie does not have that kind of like Denis Villeneuve makes artwork and like almost abstract art out of soldiers silhouetted by the sunset with their knives drawn going into a tunnel. And in this movie, the helicopter chases and everything, they look cool and the explosions look cool, but it's not there is not this sort of artistic pass on it to be like, look at just these forms and these images that have come out of this insane situation.
Yeah, you're not going to get any argument for me. I mean, you're comparing one of Villeneuve's better films with one of Ridley Scott's worst films.
Yeah.
So, like, the comparison is kind of moot to me, but...
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. That's a good point.
Also, like, Ridley Scott is his own thing. He's not, you know... He's not Venuvian.
Yeah, true.
He's not Villeneuvian.
Yeah, the Nuvian is actually the new Star Wars show on Disney+. Look, I don't think we need to get too deep into the debate here. The point is made. I think that just this movie has a certain level of kind of, I don't know, hermetically sealed remove from everything that's going on, even though it's trying to be gritty and in the dirt. It just I don't know, it just doesn't feel like you can really connect with it.
That's his thing. And to me, it's like, that to me is very Ridley Scott. He is kind of, I'd say he's more akin to Wes Anderson than he is Steven Spielberg, in that he's working within a kind of shoebox diorama.
Yeah.
But what are the elements that make that work? Like Alien, or, you know, any of the others. Thelma and Louise seems to be the only like character study that really works differently from his other ones.
Yeah.
So what is it that makes it work, and what is it that doesn't make it work here? Maybe a better comparison is, why does Black Hawk Down work, and why doesn't this film work?
I think that's a good question, and I think that Black Hawk Down, it is a movie that is about the intense relationships between a number of characters, all these soldiers who are trapped in the city, and under those, because the movie is so much about like a very tight amount of time in one incident, and these guys are under fire constantly, you can relate to the characters immediately, just because Ridley Scott is so effectively heightening the tension second by second of what's going on in the shooting and everything, and you're combat bonding with the soldiers the same way they are with each other.
And it sets out just a very easy premise for any moviegoer to understand. Oh shit, my helicopter, my escape route is gone. I have to survive until I'm rescued.
Yeah.
What is, and I think it does come down to the script in this, which is what why
what and
why and what and how, a little bit. What is, like, okay, let's boil it down. Leo DiCaprio is essentially a man at work. He's out doing his job.
He loves his job. He loves his job. He's really into it. He's good at it.
Every day's a Friday, not every day's a Monday.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily feel like, casual Friday at the office vibes when he's, like, going out to terrorist safe houses and getting shot at.
Fair. I mean, I'm not trying to equate it to that. I'm just saying, like, he enjoys his job. He's not going in going, oh, God, here we go. It's another Monday.
Yeah.
So what I think, there's a disconnect is like, well, what is his job?
Yeah.
Is the content that it's playing, the real world content, is it a little too complex for the kind of high octane entertainment approach the movie's kind of taking?
I think this is the problem. It's not really clear what this whole movie's deal is for about 50 minutes to an hour of this hour and 45-minute movie. Like, the first 20 minutes or so, it's Leonardo DiCaprio in Iraq with Oscar Isaac, his partner, who's...
I will say, if you gotta get me through 20 minutes of a movie without explaining the plot, Oscar Isaac is a good way to go.
But I'm looking at
I'm not
Oscar...
gonna complain about it.
I'm looking at Oscar Isaac in all these combat situations, and I'm thinking, oh man, he's not high enough build or far enough along in his career to survive these. I can't bond with this character. He's gonna be ripped away any minute. But, like, so it's them, and they're, like, trying to do some operations in Iraq, but then it goes south. Oscar Isaac is killed. All of their sources are killed. And then about the halfway, or the 30-minute mark, it's like, okay, now he's moved to Jordan, and he's doing new stuff. So, like, what's the movie about? Now it's about a new, different terrorist who seems the same as the previous one?
At that 30-minute mark, you should know what he does for a living, and you kind of do, but, like... What's the long game of the movie? Like, you should have spent that 30 minutes setting up what we're going to be following narratively, not just this is the context for his job and the intensity of what he has to do.
Like, it's clear that he works for the CIA and he tries to hunt terrorists kind of undercover, but it's like we don't see an example of, like, here's him doing it and it works great and he kicks ass and here's why he's the best at his job. Like, every operation he takes part in goes south, and the informant who he's trying to work with gets executed, and he's like, shit. Well, anyway, and because then once he gets to Jordan, he's kind of in Jordan just doing more of the same stuff we've seen before for another 20 minutes until we finally get to the thing that makes the movie, I think, stand apart slightly from other movies, which is, hey, we haven't been able to catch Al Salim. Let's take this Jordanian architect and set things up to make it look like he was involved in this fake terrorist attack that we're going to stage so that the real Al Salim tries to come get him.
Which is real heady, complex stuff for mainstream audiences to try to wrap their head around. And this is not the type of film I feel like to do that in.
Well, look, this is the sort of movie you could do that in if, like, 15 minutes in, it's like, yo, here's our plan, and you spend the whole movie spooling that out. Instead, it's like there's this 20-minute section in the middle of the movie where it's like, we can't get Al Salim. Let's find this guy, and we'll blow up a building at a U.S. military base full of corpses from the morgue to make it look like he blew up the building, and they just start, like, throwing all of this stuff at you, and it's like this concept, the setup and play out of this sort of elaborate double-blind plan, that could be a whole movie if you spent actual time with, like, how they worked through and did it. And instead they zoom through it at a dizzying pace.
Well, let me ask you this, and this is showing my ignorance for sure, and I hope I don't sound too idiotic, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. But how realistic is this? And let me specify. Like, in depicting this world, which is what really the filmmakers, I feel like, are attempting to do. What is it like for a CIA operative on the ground in Jordan? Making all these deals, extracting information, intelligence gathering. Mm-hmm. What is that like? Is the reality of it explodey and bullety and, like, is there a lot of? I'm sure there's a lot of, like, cards, being played behind people's backs and, deals being made with other agencies and, like, who can you trust? But is it explodey? And let me bring it home by asking this, which is, to me, what you're describing is very much a All the President's Men sort of level of understanding how all of the players are working together. But if you threw explosions into All the President's Men, I don't think I could follow the plot of All the President's Men. That's
basically that one Captain America movie. I think that real counterterrorism espionage work like this, I don't think it's this interesting. The impression I get as just a dumbass is that spy work is 99% incredibly boring stuff. And I think kind of what they're doing here is the thing that a lot of the CSI shows do, where it's like, for the purposes of entertainment, it's like the scientists who are testing the DNA all have guns and are also cops, and they test the DNA, and they get in their car with a big fucking light on it, and then they are the first one through the door to catch the guy whose DNA they found.
Yeah.
And, like, I think that a lot of the kind of work that a Leonardo DiCaprio type character in this situation is doing is, like, yeah, he's finding addresses or something, or, like, making connections, and then the army goes to a house, or special forces go do it, and he is, like, you know, working behind the scenes. But this movie compresses it to be more explodey and bullety.
So, to me, like, if you really want to show the complexities of this and build out suspense rather than, you know, through psychological depth rather than spectacle, you need to go in the All the President's Men direction.
Yes.
You know, let me feel the threat to his life. The thing is, in discussing this just now, I realized that movie exists.
And?
Syriana.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I found that movie very boring.
I found it intensely boring and intensely confusing. Oh, God. I watched it with my parents from Netflix. I may have told this story before. We are watching it, and, like, there's all these scenes of, like, two of the characters are, you know, of Arab descent. They live in Iraq or Syria or some country, and they work for a pipeline, and there's all these scenes of them having conversations back and forth in Arabic that aren't subtitled, and we're just like, what the fuck? I don't know what this is. All right, fine. I guess it's the dramatic purpose because we're supposed to get what's going on. And then halfway through the movie, we finally realize, oh no, we had to turn on subtitles or something in order to find out what they were saying. And so we're just like, well, we missed half of one of the main plots of this movie, and we were so defeated, and we were like, well, do we want to go back and start over? No. Okay, let's finish this. Just resigned to the fact that the three of us would never know what was happening in the movie. Did you have subtitles for the Arabic stuff?
I don't remember. You know, I think I was just curious what George Clooney's Oscar-winning performance was like. I don't, and just like that, he changed his weight. Like Russell Crowe gained 50 pounds for this film. Russell Crowe gained 50 pounds for this film.
And
can I reemphasize it?
50
Russell
pounds.
Crowe gained 50 pounds for this film. For this film? For this film. For the movie Body of Lies, Russell Crowe decided, I'm going to gain 50 pounds.
Russell Crowe made substantial changes to his lifestyle and his body so he could play one of the lead roles in a movie that the hosts of the Forgotten Movie podcast think is the most forgettable movie they've ever seen.
Or this brings me into my unified theory of Russell Crowe.
Here we go.
Russell Crowe entered into his Marlon Brando phase and claimed for marketing purposes of the film that he gained 50 pounds for the film.
He made some very carefully worded statement that was like, ahead of the production of this movie, I gained 50 pounds. And you draw your own conclusion. Exactly.
Because, now listen, I want to just go through like where Russell Crowe is in his career here. We don't have to take too long on it, but to me it's fascinating. The how do you as an actor continue to stay relevant in an industry that is constantly drooling over the new young guy coming in? By 2008, he wasn't going to be cast in Gladiator, right?
Yeah.
That was only 8-year difference.
Yeah.
Hollywood's a little bit different these days. People hold on to their bodies for what seems like 25, 30 years. But Russell Crowe, Gladiator, like explodes. I mean, he was big in the 90s, but like explodes with Oscar-winning performance in Gladiator. Follows it up with immediate 2001, next year, 2 wins in a row for A Beautiful Mind.
Right.
Both Ridley Scott films. Or no, I'm sorry. That's Ron Howard. So he's on top of the world in 2000, 2001, turn of the millennia, right?
Yeah. Good times to be him.
It's only 7 years until this movie. What happens in that span of time, Truman?
A lot can happen in 7 years, especially in Hollywood where attention spans are short and a lot of shit is constantly happening.
Well, he makes Master and Commander, Far Side of the World.
That movie really holds up.
He makes Cinderella Man.
That
Ron Howard?
That movie I've heard also held up in the first place.
That was one of the few movies that actually got me on my feet cheering by the end of it.
Wow, man. And it's
I'm embarrassed to admit that. In the theater.
Oh man. Wait, crowded theater, or were you the only one? It was just you and Tim Meadows in the theater for that one too. You saw
No, that was actually
you saw Red Belt together, and it's like, let's go see another dudes fighting movie? Yeah, let's do it, Tim.
No, that was back in Michigan before I moved out to LA. But after Cinderella Man, he makes a good year with Ridley Scott in 2006. And then what happens? He's no longer strictly leading man. He's technically leading man, but he's co-leading man. Because in 2007, he starts with 3:10 to Yuma with Christian Bale.
Yeah. Okay.
2007, he's in American Gangster with Denzel Washington. Then he does this film, 2008, with Leo DiCaprio.
Busy boy. He's doing a lot of stuff.
He is, but he's relinquished the single name above the marquee leading man status.
Yeah.
He's turning into a character actor.
He's entering his own character actor corner.
Now, let's not forget that during this time, during that period from 2001 to 2007-ish, was a very volatile time for him. That was when the telephone incident happened with the concierge.
Right.
Remember?
Yeah.
He threw that.
Yeah, he threw a phone, yeah.
He had anger issues. I'm sure he was really dedicated to his Australian jam band.
Jam bands always come in between people in their careers. You see it time and time again.
And so, like, this is, I think, a case of Hollywood isn't working for me. I can't work for Hollywood in the way Hollywood wants me to, so how do I make Hollywood work for me? And the way I make Hollywood work for me is let me shift into more interesting roles. And he doesn't really take a leading man role again since then.
Yeah.
He has led films for sure. He has been in, big blockbusters for sure. But if he has a single solo name above the marquee, it's for a lower budgeted movie like Unhinged.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, and some extent, maybe that's also just him kind of getting interested in activism, even if that is, quote unquote interested in versus like, well, fuck this. I can't have as much control in the movies anymore, so I'm going to go like start a charity or like, go to a developing nation to make an impassioned point because there I can be in a starring role in some sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no awareness of Russell Crowe and activism, so maybe that's true, which would be laudable.
Yeah. I mean, it can be laudable, or it could also be self-serving. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of different stuff that he's doing, but yeah,
to bring it all home though, like I think he is like, he's kind of doing what do we talk about with a previous actor? Like, I'm not going to hold on to this unrealistic gladiator body anymore. I'm gonna gain 50 pounds either for myself or pretend, or do it for Hollywood as a like Marlon Brando stunt and claim it was for a movie, or I'm going to do it for a movie even if it doesn't require me to do it just because I don't want to be that thing you thought I was before.
Yeah.
I'm speculating here, but his career kind of bores that out from here. He just takes bizarre choices.
I wish I could say this was a bizarre choice, though. Nothing about this is a bizarre choice. Like, if this movie was a bizarre choice, if he was wildly miscast, then this movie would be memorable in some way.
No, not the movie. Not the movie. His choices as an actor and how he brings the character to fruition, I think, are a little bizarre.
I agree, I guess, but I like them. I
do too. I
like his
not a
weird,
criticism. Not a criticism.
His cornpone, foghorn, leghorn ass character, always on the phone. Like he's got this thick ass Virginia accent. It's fun.
He looks like, and I'm sure this is intentional to some degree, either on his part or the production's part, but he looks like every single mid-level manager you've ever seen. Like, he could be running a chain of Walmarts in Iowa.
Yes, exactly. He like, and to some degree, yeah, like intentional. Like, the movie is trying to highlight that a lot of, this is a life or death struggle for these terrorist groups, and a lot of the people running the war for us are pretty much middle managers taking a half day in the suburbs with their kids at the soccer game.
Yeah.
But the movie just doesn't, invest hard enough in that contrast or in that cultural clash for any message to come out of it.
In fact, there was a moment, I think it was around that negotiation scene that we already discussed, where I'm like, who does he remind me of? And it put me in mind of another actor who has passed. He passed in 1998, but the actor was named J.T. Walsh, and he was a character actor. And if you look him up, you're going to recognize the face. You're not going to be able to picture a single movie he was in, because he's going to recall to you the same, oh, you were the shitty asshole boss to the main character in 16 different films.
Yeah, he's got boss face.
You were the kind of strong-handed husband of the female protagonist who she had to break away from at some point in the movie.
Yeah. It's like I feel like a similar version is it's the guy who played George Costanza's boss, Jay Kruger, on Seinfeld. He's been kind of a vaguely asshole-ish cop, or in 10 other movies I've seen.
He was in Simone. Yeah, he played he wasn't asshole-ish, but he was definitely exasperated.
He was kind of an asshole. He was ready to convict Victor Taransky of murder when they didn't even have a body for a computer lady who never actually existed. That's a dick move.
Victor
no more
Taransky
propaganda.
Was psychotic.
Well, I mean, yeah, but get him on that. Send him to an asylum. Don't lock him up for murder just because he's weird. Well, I don't know. Can we talk some about Leonardo DiCaprio's character in this movie?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What? He has a character in this movie?
Yeah.
I just saw Leo DiCaprio acting.
Yeah, his character is being desperate for a small gold statue. So I'm not sure why Leonardo DiCaprio's character deserves a happy ending. Yeah, this movie in its final act, he's met throughout the movie this beautiful nurse.
Yeah.
And he's been kind of courting her in accordance with her Islamic tradition. We can talk more about that. But in the end, in the third act, oh, wouldn't you know it, he gets word that she's been captured, and he goes out to try and strike a deal with Al Salim, and he's captured by Al Salim, and taken away, and he is, they've got him in this dungeon, and they're torturing him on camera or something. And I'm watching this, and we're in the last couple minutes of the movie, and I'm thinking okay, so he dies, and it's something about how Leonardo DiCaprio's character, who has been, we've seen him participating in torture of Iraqi prisoners, and he's done all of these things. He's framed this guy for a terrorist attack, and that guy gets killed. I think, and it's okay, so this whole movie is now it's his comeuppance, and he dies in here under these torture circumstances that he's inflicted on others. But no, at the absolute last second, a bunch of Jordanian special forces burst in and shoot all the terrorists, and he gets rescued. And then I'm like, okay, well, why does he deserve a happy ending?
Why?
But why? And then I'm looking at him in the hospital, and everything seems to be working out, and I'm like, oh wait, I get it. Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge. I gotcha. Okay, any minute now, he's gonna be back to being tortured. It was all in his head. Last 20 minutes of Brazil. No, he's fine. He got away. He quits the CIA, and he goes back to see his girlfriend, who's fine. Yep. And that's the end of the movie. So it's
couple thoughts.
Why?
One is to your earlier point, this romantic subplot, if you want to even call it that, it is the attempt to infuse this film with heart.
Yeah,
it does not work.
It comes closer than other stuff.
It's a little more diegetic in the book, but even in the book, I could hear the editors and the publishers going, it's got to be a little bit more than just war stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Can you throw romance in there?
Something for the moms.
Here's I want to be kind of delicate about this because, again, I'm an ignorant American, but DiCaprio wearing brown contact lenses and has dyed his hair black for this movie.
Yeah.
Not explained at all in the movie. Why would it? Well, in the book, and this comes into the subtext of the subplot of the romance, because there is the whole cultural clash of how do you, court someone outside of your culture that has strict norms around touching and in the book, his character is distantly Arab.
Distantly Arab.
I mean, I don't think it was his mother, but it was someone, it was either his grandmother, someone on his mother's side was Arab, and that is why he's able to have a stronger connection with the culture, with this woman. It's frivolous, it's flimsy, but it's there.
I love that it's just like, no, American readers, white American readers in 2008, don't worry. He's basically white. Like, it couldn't just be an Arab American CIA agent. No. He's just I mean, technically he is Arab American, but it's like, oh no, just like one relative far in the distant past.
Right. So that is a thing.
Yeah. I mean, so the movie is, maybe the movie had some backstory on him or his actual ties to Arab culture that was taken out for one reason or another.
Yeah, I don't think that explains your question of why does he deserve a happy ending, but I think it gives a little bit of texture to how he moves within that world.
Well, that does clue into sort of another question that I have about Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't want to cut you off if you have multiple Leo points to make.
No, please.
Okay, so a thing that he mentions a couple times in this movie, and, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, he is fluent in Arabic, and when he is, when he's talking to Aisha the nurse, like, he's very deferential and respectful to her culture and the norms of dating under Islam and things like that. But he says also a few times about how he loves the culture of the Middle East, how he loves the Middle East, and Russell Crowe is saying, like, nobody loves it here. This place is a shithole. And at the end of the movie, he is offered, a corner office desk job at the CIA back in Virginia, and he says, no, I want to stay here, and he stays in Jordan. So he talks about loving the culture. His whole thing is that he loves the culture, but as presented in the movie, all we really see of the Middle East in this movie is, like, crowded streets full of trash and stray dogs and dirty low-rise buildings with nested power lines between them, and
they go to a refugee camp at one point.
Yeah, they're a big like just trash heaps in the middle of the city, and
the hospital.
Like, and again, like, I recognize, there are a lot of places in war-torn regions of the Middle East that look like that. I'm sure this is accurate to things about the Middle East, but it's like, if the whole point of his character is that he's fallen in love with this part of the world, you could maybe show us him experiencing, like, one nice thing, or one beautiful thing, or some aspect of the culture that he finds really affirming, and that fills something for him, that fills some void in his life that he is not finding in the Western society he's here representing.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, Truman. And maybe, to Leo, he sees beauty in the steadfast hope that these people have for moving forward through tumultuous times and lack of resources. And he sees beauty in human nature and the resilience of humans. The movie doesn't show that at all. There's no textural support for that. But maybe that's how he feels in his heart of hearts.
I think that the movie shows the beauty of the Middle East by taking an actress of Middle Eastern descent who is quite beautiful and having him fall in love with her and being like, hey guys, I know that it seems pretty scary on the news, but would you believe that there are pretty ladies over there too? And he likes one of them. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I just, like, this movie definitely does not take the stance of, fuck yeah, it's awesome that we're at war in the Middle East, and does not take the stance of, like, these people are cockroaches or whatever, so that's great. But it also doesn't really, like, I think the movie American Dreams does a better job of humanizing Middle Eastern people. And, in fact, American Dreams, I think, does a better job of kind of exploring the very tangible and understandable reasons that push young men into jihad than this movie does, because at least in American Dreams, there's this whole thing of like that character is not super into terrorism in and of itself, but because his mom was killed by an American bomb, he had all of this anger, and the group kind of like sucked him in. Like that is a more truthful depiction of what terrorist recruiting looks like than anything you get here.
And it also shows the gaudiness of American culture, and like this is what we're forcing on the world. Now, are we saying this movie would be improved if Russell Crowe was the host of a reality TV show and doing counterterrorism phone calls while he's like walking and talking through the halls, Aaron Sorkin style, while he's like getting makeup applied to his face?
Wow, yeah, that would be an interesting idea for a movie. Like a guy is hosting a game show and simultaneously doing covert spy shit. We should get George Clooney to direct that movie and call it Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Son of a bitch.
Hope someone enjoyed that. Yeah, I'm terrible, aren't I? It's like, I don't know, American Dreams, a movie that you rated our most forgettable of last season, I think is vastly more memorable than this one, partially because it's bad in amusing ways. But
fair.
I don't know. I think it does a better job humanizing the people who this movie claims to want to humanize.
I mean, you're not getting any argument for me.
I didn't want one.
Yeah, I actually don't even have anything to contribute to that. I mean, I think that's astute. Yeah. The fact that the most forgettable movie of last season is more memorable than this movie, which treats this this content with more seriousness, is about as descriptive of how forgettable this movie is.
I think this is really a serious American Dreams in a couple ways. I think that because one thing that we talked about a lot with American Dreams last season, which was a attempted comedy about a suicide bomber trying to go on an American Idol type show.
Yeah.
That movie also really like prided itself on like, we're gonna say some big stuff and challenge some sacred cows and like really tear down the system. And in the end, the biggest comment it had to make was like, George W. Bush, not the brightest bulb in the box, but his heart's in the right place.
Right.
This movie also is, I think, doing that in kind of a very serious way, because this movie works very hard to be brutal and to show unpleasant things. You know, you've got, when Oscar Isaac dies, there's an explosion in a car, and like Leonardo DiCaprio afterwards is digging bone fragments of him out of his arm and putting them in a matchbox.
Dude, sorry.
Go.
You were talking and then I stopped listening to you because...
Nice. I can't blame you.
It brought to mind, when you said Oscar Isaac, the more interesting version of this movie, which already exists and is written and directed by Paul Schrader, starring Oscar Isaac, and it's called The Card Counter.
Oh, okay. It sounds like that's about gambling.
It is. It's Oscar Isaac comes back. He's a card counter, but he is also an Iraqi war veteran who had to, under Willem Dafoe, he was kind of ordered to be one of those guards. I don't think it was Guantanamo specifically. It could have been.
Abu Ghraib was the one in Iraq.
Yeah. So he was one of the guards that was tasked with the kind of advanced interrogation tactics, and how that has given him a specific kind of PTSD when he comes back. There's a guilt complex, and he seeks out Willem Dafoe at one point, and it's just this like slow revealing and regression and degradation of the character over time. It's not about being with him in what he does for the war. It's how it affects him when he gets back.
Yeah, exactly. You're seeing the actual toll that the events of the plot take on the character.
Yeah.
And so
you see no toll taken on Leo DiCaprio in this movie outside of his hand getting broken by a hammer.
Yeah, like you see, there is a lot of physical toll being taken, which contributes to this movie being brutal and unpleasant. There's another scene where he's chasing a guy, an informant or something, through a back alley, and he jumps over this wall that has a bunch of shards of broken glass mortared into the top, cuts open his hands. He's like then on the other side with the guy, stabbing him in an alley, and these two like stray dogs are like biting his ankle and like tearing up his ankle, and he has to get all these rabies shots. At the end of the movie, his fingers are getting smashed with a hammer. So this movie has all of this, like, fucking look at this, look how fucking bad this is. But then, much like American Dreams, which tries to do the comedy version of that by being really over the top and everything, when it comes time to say something, this movie has nothing to say. It's shown you all this stuff. It has dragged you through the mud and the dirt. And then at the end of it, it's like, well, what did this mean? And it's like, well, there's some terrorists out there and we're trying to catch them. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Like,
and what does Leo take from this? He says, you know what? You didn't put me through the ringer enough. I need to be brutalized more if I'm going to win this thing.
Yes, exactly. I got brutalized in a hot place, and I'm going to get brutalized in a cold place. I got beaten up by a terrorist, and I'll get beaten up by a bear. We will get this right eventually.
The Revenant. Oh, God, that movie.
And you know what? And Leonardo DiCaprio is sitting there, and he's like, God damn it. If getting mauled by a bear doesn't get me an Oscar, then I will have to endure the greatest pain of all, dating a woman who's older than 25 years old. So calling into this, there's a quote at the end that stuck with me. Just this whole thing of the movie not having a greater, more important thesis.
Okay.
He's been captured by Al Salim. They're smashing his fingers. It's torture. Like, he's come face to face with the bad guy, and this is before the commandos burst in to rescue him. And Leonardo DiCaprio is being, like, spiteful to Al Salim's face, and he's criticizing him, saying, these men around here, they're dispensable to you. They'll blow themselves up in the name of Allah and kill their own brothers and sisters. There's no place in the Quran for the murder of innocent people and suicide, and you know that. And it's, he's challenging him on the religion. And then he goes on and he says, you're misinterpreting the one book you believe in. Are you pure, or are you just as corrupt as the capitalist Westerners you despise? You're slaves to Saudi oil sheiks and oil money, and when that oil money runs out, you're all going to disappear into the ashes of history. That's his, like, big, raw statement to this guy at the end.
Yeah.
And much like American Dreams making the broader point of just George W. Bush is dumb, saying, like, hey, you guys are actually hypocrites because the Quran says that murder is evil. It's like, well, dog, we know. Like, that was a pretty commonly understood point. And that's, like, the big thing that they're trying to go for. Like, that you guys are misinterpreting your own religion, and then that, like, and you're only propped up by oil money, and when the oil money goes away, you won't be able to fund your shit. It's like, well, that's not... None of that is, like, really groundbreaking news. So
right.
The movie doesn't take you to any kind of new understanding of this conflict.
It would be audacious if it did, though.
Well, I mean, it would at least make sense that the movie, based on a book written by a longtime foreign correspondent for a major paper, would give us some new understanding of conflict in the Middle East.
I'm just thinking, like... Listen, I would rather something take a big swing and completely miss and be memorable than, this kind of slop that we get.
Yeah.
Like, what if Body of Lies ended with a, Charlie Chaplin and the Great Dictator style, sentimentalist speech about what's, the wars that are going on and how the hypocrisy and, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be great. What if the whole thing was just like an email forward, from your grandma about, like, the brave Marine who punches the atheist professor who says God isn't real?
Well, I just say, like, what if they took the stance of, like, not only are we gonna have Leo say something, but let's, like, turn it into a moment where he's being interviewed on, like, some news station, and then he, like, turns from the interviewer to the camera and he's talking directly to the people.
Yeah.
Kevin McCarthy style, turn into the audience saying, "You're next."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that. Just fourth wall it right at the end. And then, him and John Travolta get in a car and drive away, and the car starts to fly. Just inexplicable end of movie stuff. Hit all of them. I promise we would have remembered that.
Well, I think, like, if you you're working on a film that's going to be forgotten, why not just throw a few things in there at the end just to leave people with a, what did I just see? How did that thing just end?
Because fucking Ridley Scott is too frosty and too British to have the impulse to throw a weird thing in. And you know what? There's another British guy who probably would put some weird dumb shit at the end of his movie, and his name is Guy Ritchie.
Oh,
What if George W. Bush walked in at the end and was like, What shall we do with this here body of lies?
Wow.
Okay. We remember it.
Guy Ritchie has a leg up on Ridley Scott for that. I'll give him that.
Yeah, at least the Guy Ritchie movies we've watched have been dumb enough to be memorable. This movie is just competent enough to be forgettable.
What? Okay. Now, again, I'm not trying to be glib about real world stuff like this, but like in asking the question I've asked on this season of being completely out to sea on how we tell real stories or stories of real people and real events, could you tell a pulpy Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare style version of Body of Lies?
I mean, that's 24, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
I mean, look, I think that's part of the thing with this movie, because there was, I don't know, thinking about it, this genre specifically of Middle East counterterrorism type movie, there was a lot of that getting made in early 2010s, early 2000s, whatever. I feel like you don't see as much of that anymore, because while we are very much still doing shit over there, it's just, we don't have as many forces on the ground anymore, and terrorism is not currently, Middle Eastern terrorism is not currently the obsession of the American public. But there were a lot of, kind of hacky made-for-TV-ass action movies set in the Middle East about kicking indoors and fighting terrorists, and I think it's that this movie tries to position itself as something that's deeper and thinkier than that, but at the end of the day, on the story level, on what you're seeing on screen, it basically is that. The hero gets captured because the hero's girlfriend gets captured, and he organizes a swap for her, and then he's captured, and right before they're about to kill him, the commandos burst in and kill the bad guys. It's like, this feels like, it feels like something you'd see on a made-for-TV movie about, a Clive Cussler type character.
Can I pivot for a second and just ask you? I want to return to the romance.
For
a second.
That's what she said. I want to return to the romance.
He initially goes to the hospital, a clinic, I think might be a better term for it.
Yeah.
Because of the dog bites that you mentioned. He was bitten by a diseased dog, as he angrily says into a phone for the 1 millionth time in this movie. And he's dropped off at a clinic. He protests like, hey, this isn't the hospital. I don't want to be dropped at this place. He's like, it's, hours away, the other place. Just fine. Go in here. And this is how he meets Aisha, right?
Yes.
He meets her through getting vaccines.
Yeah.
Rabies vaccines.
Yes. A set of 5 shots. He has to keep coming back.
1 every week. Mm-hmm. She says, you don't have to come back here. You can just go anywhere, tell them what your sitch is.
Yeah.
Tell them what your sitch is.
Yeah, tell you what your sitch is.
They'll give you the shot that you need.
Yo, here's my sitch. I got the rabes.
Exactly.
Hit me with one of them needs. Give me ejection. That's what kids are calling injections now. Ejections.
One of them vaxes.
Yeah.
He, love at first sight, he opts to go back to the same clinic, to the same nurse.
Yeah.
Not following the schedule. He delays his vaccine in order to see her.
Yeah, it's true.
So my question is, would you risk rabies infection to meet a woman in your most desperate times?
I mean, I feel like there have been times in my life when I've been pretty desperate, but yeah, I've never been down that bad for it, man. There is like a better movie in there about his rabies infection getting out of control, and this ticking time bomb of rabies trying to defeat the ticking time bomb of international terrorism.
It's like that James Mason movie Odd Man Out, where he's just slowly dying over the course of the film. I mean, granted, he's trying to hide out, noir style, but like if DiCaprio's slowly dying over the course of the film because he's being infected with rabies at a slow rate of pace, just so that he can have more time to talk to this girl.
I mean, well, it does, but the thing is, it works. So, I mean, don't debate his methods, because she winds up going out with him and seeing this guy who is very clearly, even though he always says he's a political advisor when he's talking to like her or her family, it's like pretty clear this guy's involved with the American war effort, and maybe is not the best dude to be dating.
Let me ask you this too. Now, I realize you aren't a teenage girl in the late 90s. Are you?
Well, at the moment, no, but I mean, who knows what can happen in the future.
In the future, you're going to the past to be a young teenage girl. Okay, got it.
Well, remember the setup for our whole deal here, what with the time traveling space machine, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, everything's on the table.
Yeah.
So then, I guess you can potentially be someone to ask this question to. What is DiCaprio's sex appeal at this stage in his career?
This is the thing.
Okay, hit me with it.
Despite all of his kind of skeeviness and crappiness, I like Leonardo DiCaprio a lot. I've enjoyed him in a lot of roles, and I've liked him more the older and less like conventionally attractive he's gotten, as he's become more of kind of just a schlubby dude. I have liked him more and more and more. I feel like his sex appeal by 2008 was not really there. I mean, even I don't know. You know, Titanic certainly was at its peak. Leonardo plus Juliet. Yeah, that's what it's called. Romeo plus Juliet, you idiot.
Yeah.
All Italian names are the same. Duh.
Well. The bookend of that, though, came out, what was it, the same year or the year after this? Great Gatsby, which I think he's playing back in that sex appeal realm. Like,
yeah, that made
his superhero power being I can wear a suit.
Mm-hmm. Yes, true. I mean, I think that might have been kind of one of his last hurrahs, because like he's been plenty of leading man stuff since then, but it's like I don't feel like he's ever been like the really like I'm hot and aspirational in this movie, you know?
Well, yeah. So my question though is like, as far as this romance is concerned, like I agree with you. I find DiCaprio to be kind of a fascinating actor, divorced from his personal life.
Sure.
But would you say he has the Riz?
I think to this movie's credit, I think he displays a fair amount of Riz in his scenes with the. I understand. I can see what Aisha theoretically likes about him.
Okay.
He is being kind of glib and funny. He's not just being nice, but he's showing an active interest. He speaks her language, and he is
a certain amount of respect there for her and her culture. And
there's a scene where he goes over to have a dinner with her and her sister's two little kids, and he is like hanging out with the kids at one point. They're playing like a FIFA game on the PlayStation, and he's chatting with them, and kind of like they don't want to talk to him at first, but then he kind of like in talking to them, it's like, oh, you don't like your mom's cooking? Okay, how about this? Hey, you give me the look if something she's serving me is bad, okay, and let me know. And I don't know, it's just kind of charming to watch the way he's just kind of like, he and the kids have this little fun little back and forth to them, and like he has. And Aisha's sister is really grilling him about U.S. foreign policy and like what the Americans are doing in this region, and I don't know. This is kind of one of the places he's making a case for how much he loves the Middle East. But like, I enjoy his performance there, and I can see like putting myself in Aisha's shoes, how he's like passing the test, and it's like, okay, this isn't just some dude bro army guy who's here. He is a thoughtful guy who seems to actually care about what's going on here.
But I guess at first I was gonna approach this with a humorous way of like, how do they both swipe right on Hinge to match with each other, with these coming from different places and stuff. But on a more realistic level, like, does this belong in this movie where you're talking about who to trust, and if you trust someone, it can be leveraged against you as a liability? Like, his involvement with her puts other people at risk, and does the movie justify his commitment to her and exploring that to make it believable?
I don't think that it does. I think that the movie could benefit. The better version of this movie focuses more on the relationship and trying to build the relationship with her, and is comparing and contrasting that with the relationships he's trying to build with the locals in the line of his espionage work.
Yeah, I like that comparison.
And also, I think would involve more of him being confronted by her, like her finding out the work he actually does, and her actually being this voice of morality saying, wait, hang on, everybody you work with here winds up getting killed. Are you just like looking at like, and what am I, just a hotter version of all of these other men who you've sacrificed in the course of doing your job? I mean, would that do it for you? Would that make you remember this movie?
Well, you touch on like something you've been highlighting in multiple things throughout this episode, which is like, on paper, there is a lot you can thematically do with this movie.
Yes.
And it does none of it.
Yeah.
There is an interesting concept here and an interesting character study, an interesting suspense film. Mm-hmm. It's just, this is not the way to do it. This is the most uninteresting, forgettable way to have executed this material, for lack of a better term and a poor pun that I didn't intend.
Well, yeah, but at least it doesn't torture the material.
That's true. Well, does it?
Well, actually, it kind of does. Never mind. It was enhanced interrogation. This movie, this movie is dealing with a lot of interesting concepts and ideas, and at the beginning of the movie, Russell Crowe's character sets out kind of a thesis statement that hints at it being about something more interesting. He's giving some kind of briefing to a bunch of other CIA officials, and he's giving this big speech about how, like, you know, these terrorist cells they're going after, you know, the Western nations are looking to the future and they're so technologically advanced, but the terrorists they're fighting are so focused on tradition and have retreated so far into the past that now the Western technology, like, can't even find them. They're not using cell phones. They're like, they've gone back to the old ways, and our society can't even perceive the way that they're behaving. So there's this concept of culture clash that's laid out up front, and how these two different societies are interacting with each other both through war and through negotiations between the allied security services, and that is also there in Aisha's relationship with Leonardo DiCaprio. And so, yeah, like, if the movie did anything with that and, like, the differences between the cultures beyond him talking about it up front, there could be some really interesting stuff to sink your teeth into, but instead that's just sort of a prologue for a couple hours of, like, yeah, he's talking on a cell phone, he's shooting a guy, the helicopter is flying low over the desert. Like,
yeah.
It waves at interesting ideas and turns away from them.
There's something... I realize I use this term a lot. There's an alchemy to this. There's a dark alchemy to this movie.
Ooh, that's my favorite kind of alchemy. It's much more bitter.
The details, like, the second I start hearing them, my brain shuts off. Yeah. I watched you talk just then, and I heard nothing you said. I tuned back in the second you started to talk about him and Aisha again, because I'm like, oh, characters.
Oh, pretty lady. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. It's just like my brain will not compute the information.
Now, question, is the problem the quality of the information or the quality of the co-host? It could be, let's be sure to test all of the inputs here.
You're just translating what my same experience of the movie. It's just, it does not, there's some sort of filter in front of my head that just translates it all into, like, negative input.
It's like, there's a moment in the movie when you're watching, like, your fifth or sixth shot of a convoy of black SUVs pulling up to a nondescript concrete brutalist building, and text on screen tells you which government agency that building is.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of just like, you know what? This is just like, this is coded information to make my brain forget what's happening.
Yeah. There's another moment, what you just said put me in mind of, like, oh, something I flagged and then forgot about, which is, and I don't think it explains it at all, but you can infer, which is when they're on a date, they're just, like, walking down a sidewalk next to a building at one point.
Yeah.
And they turn and go into, like, I think a coffee house or a tea house or something like that.
Yeah.
And right before they turn and go in, the frame just goes, and you see, like, two still frames taken of them.
Oh yeah.
Like, you're not watching them through a camera. Like, it's you're just watching the movie, and then the movie just, like, turns it into two, like, someone took two pictures of them.
Yeah.
But then, like, I think it's just to, like, really amp up this idea that you were always being surveilled, right?
Yeah.
You can kind of infer that someone was watching him, and that's why they retaliated using her at some point, but, like, we don't ever see those photos being thrown down on some terrorist's desk and saying, these are the targets, we got to take her out. Like, it's just, the movie decided, we're going to take a few photos of our leading stars for a second.
It's just like, it was always just like kind of put it in the editing room. Like, do you think people remember it's a spy movie? We're doing romance stuff right now.
Right, exactly.
And you could say that it's building up for the whole concept of the terrorists kidnap Aisha at the end. But what we wind up finding out is that, no, Aisha wasn't kidnapped. The Jordanian, like, good guy Secret Service people took her to trick Leonardo DiCaprio into thinking that Al Salim did it, so he'll reach out and make contact so they can find him. And
so maybe it was them that was taking the photos.
Maybe, but then also, we never see, like, at the end, after he gets out of the hospital, we see him, like, watching Aisha at the clinic from a distance, but then we never see them reunited. We see the last scene is him, like, at a market, and Russell Crowe is watching Leonardo DiCaprio through a satellite feed, and then he's like, all right, he's done, pull out, and they, like, zoom away from him, and we cut straight to a Guns N' Roses song, and no, not one of the good ones. No, it's from Chinese Democracy, motherfucker. Oh, it's so bad. But
I was in. By the time I knew the credits were coming, I had walked into the kitchen just to clean my plate, I think, and it took me like 30 seconds before I just went, fucking Axl Rose is singing a song to Body of Lies? What the fuck is this? I thought, like, maybe my PlayStation had turned off and, like, my Apple TV kicked back on and it started playing something I'd, paused watching before.
Yeah, because you were such a huge fan of Axl Rose's later work, too. That totally speaks to your soul. But we never see him and Aisha together at all at the end of after putting all this stuff into it. There's never any them reuniting. He's at a market, but is he buying food for her? What's he doing? What was the point of the relationship? Who kidnapped her? Why?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know.
When we cut to Guns N' Roses and the credits come up, I literally was just sitting there looking at my screen just going, why did we do this? Why was I shown this?
Listen, I don't have too much more to say about this movie, but there is one incredibly important point we have to talk about.
Wait, is this something that Russell Crowe says when he first gets to the Middle East? Okay, yes, I'm surprised.
He does.
When this happened, I was like, oh, this will be the only thing we talk about on the episode. Landon, tell me about the scene. Tell me about this thing.
Okay. So, as we had mentioned, Russell Crowe shows up in the Middle East. At one point, he surprises Leonardo DiCaprio.
You can call him Leo. We're tight. We're buds.
Well, I got my syllables confused me for a second. Leo DiCaprio has an apartment. He does that thing where if this was a 1970s or 80s cop show, like the door would be creaked open and he'd be suspicious and he'd pull his gun out and be like, someone's in the apartment, and he kicks the door open and points the gun at him.
Yeah.
We get the 2008, Middle Eastern surveillance spy genre version of that. Kicks the door open and Russell Crowe's there, like, what took you so long?
Hey!
And Leo, like, at this point, even in the course of their relationship, they have more to be, like, contentious about than just, like, what are you doing here? I didn't think you'd be, like, you didn't drop me a line that you're coming or something like that. Like, it's so, the second he realizes it's Russell Crowe, he just, like, drops the act and he's like, what? Why would you surprise me like this?
Yeah.
Not like, why did you just have me almost killed?
Yeah, exactly.
4 fucking scenes ago.
Constantly letting this guy off the hook. You almost had me killed, and now you seem to have broken the lock to my apartment all so you could do a bit.
Also, do you want some coffee? Let me make you something. How was the flight? Oh, it was fine.
Now remember, this is Russell Crowe saying this next line. This is Russell Crowe talking about his flight.
Okay, well, this is more. Listen, you're asking me to do a Russell Crowe impression of Russell Crowe doing it.
You don't have to do the impression. I just want people to understand who says this crucial line.
Okay.
I'm Leonardo DiCaprio. Picture me always looking like Leonardo DiCaprio in 1995. How was your flight?
It was long. I watched Poseidon.
Oh, listeners.
Did you? How did you watch this movie? Did you watch it on Netflix?
On Amazon.
On Amazon. I had my Blu-ray, and I had my PlayStation controller, and I hit the little second left button to rewind.
Oh yeah.
And then I hit my options button, and I pulled up the menu to turn on subtitles, and then I let the scene play again, thinking there's no way he could have mentioned a forgotten film that we have already covered on this show.
It's amazing. I watched...
And he says Poseidon. I didn't watch The Poseidon Adventure. I'm not Truman Caps on a plane watching The Poseidon Adventure. I watched Poseidon.
But, again, a movie I also watched on a long international flight right after watching The Poseidon Adventure. I rewound and rewatched that exchange 3 or 4 times. I was like, I don't know how I felt elated, but also it was like I didn't really know what to do with the emotions because it's such a stupid victory. Like I honestly was like, I should tell Kirsty about this. And I'm like, I don't need to bother her with this, that a person in a shitty movie said the name of another shitty movie that I happen to have watched. I don't know. She'll hear about it when we talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Truman, we're going to talk about it a little bit more.
Okay, tell me more about Poseidon as referenced in Body of Lies.
There were deleted scenes in this movie. And there were extended scenes in this movie. This is one of those scenes in which it went on a little bit longer about the movie Poseidon.
Oh, you are... Landon, if you're lying to me right now, prepare to have one less friend.
I'm just going to read the IMDb trivia for it rather than trying to construct this on my own.
Go.
Here's what it says. After the theatrical release of the movie, Russell Crowe declared to Deadline.com that the first meeting between Roger Ferris, which is Leo DiCaprio, and Ed Hoffman, which is the character Russell Crowe plays, it was partially cut. After Hoffman comments to Ferris that he watched Poseidon on the plane, where he traveled from the USA to Jordan, when Ferris questions him, how was it? Hoffman answers, it was like watching a Greek girl get a bikini wax. I had no idea when it was going to end.
Oh, like that's what the movie Poseidon was like?
That's what got cut out of this movie. Ed Hoffman, Russell Crowe's commentary about what it's like to watch Poseidon. It's like a Greek girl getting a bikini wax. I don't know when it's going to end. Yes, a pubic hair joke about the movie Poseidon was cut from Body of Lies, a somewhat racist...
Well, yeah, somewhat racist and vaguely sexually charged as most of Russell Crowe's lines in this movie are.
Yes.
I mean, but boy, you know that it's pretty edgy. Ed Hoffman maybe would be better as a podcaster than as a counterterrorism guy. Fewer people would die.
Not a podcaster on the side of good though.
No, he wouldn't be on our network certainly. I wouldn't want him as a guest, but I'm just saying, like he has the soul of a caster. I mean, and also, I think that's an unfair assessment of the movie Poseidon, which I rather liked. It was brisk. It went quickly.
I will agree with you on that. I did not like it very much. I did not decide to send that movie back, but if anything, it's not a movie that's like, when is this going to end? That movie does not let up. It doesn't go into any depth on anything, but it's like, I don't think you can characterize it as, how long is this fucking movie?
Yeah. How was your flight? Oh, I watched that movie. He's just not that into you. Oh, how was it? It was, etc., etc. When is it going to end? Like, there's so many other movies that we've done that do go on too long. It's wild that he singled out the one that we all kind of agreed was appropriately paced. Yeah. Do you think we're gonna get this again? Do you think another one of our movies will ever reference a different movie we've done?
No, there's no way. This is we've peaked. The podcast has turned inside on itself at this point. In fact, I had another note here that I just want to get your take on. Yeah. Like, we're only like in the middle of season 2, if that, at this point. Yeah. And yet, our movies seem to already be referencing each other in a way that goes beyond our normal, podcast lore.
Sure.
For instance, we have basically this movie is The Recruit with a little bit of Sahara.
Yeah, but the wrong bit.
last week we talked about the rundown being the Mexican does 6 days, 7 nights.
True.
We've done 2 Guy Ritchie movies that are obviously very similar to
movie,
each other.
yeah.
And I'm wondering, I'm not trying to build out some sort of weird, supernatural thing, but I'm wondering if the reason for that, which we can't quite see at the moment, is indicating what that forgotten sauce is.
Mm-hmm. We're getting a more and more distilled forgotten sauce, and I mean, and this truly is the most, Body of Lies is the most forgettable yet. I mean, truly the most concentrated sauce.
Well, is it though? Are we talking about distilling it to what it is, or are we talking about using these as ingredients and layering to more complex forgotten stuff? I feel like Body of Lies might be the distilled version.
Mm-hmm.
But then you deal with another movie where it's like, this is a little bit of this. Like The Rundown feels like more of a meal that you've built out of forgotten ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a little bit of this, it's a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and it creates a forgotten stew.
Yes, this is forgotten candy. Forgotten cotton candy, I mean. Like, it dissolves in water. It disappears off your tongue.
Yes. Or if it's windy out, it'll just blow right off your cone.
Yes, that sounds like that was informed by a personal tragedy, perhaps in your childhood. Did Landon have a blustery day at the Michigan State Fair?
You can't extract information out of me.
But we've built such a big relationship together.
So where was I going to go with that? I don't remember.
I don't know. Do you want to stop talking about the movie?
Yeah. Let's put a wrap on Body of Lies. Why, Truman, was this forgotten?
This movie was forgotten because of everything about it. Like, literally everything, every single creative decision made in the movie, right on down to the fact that the only pop culture reference in the movie is referencing another forgotten movie. This movie is like made out of the concept of forgetting someone. Like, when you meet someone at a party who you have met before and you can almost remember their name but you can't, and you have that feeling, that is what this movie is made out of. Why do you think?
A little less cringe, though. It's a little less cringe than that.
True. If it was cringe, it would be memorable, I suppose. Yeah. Maybe it's more like it's like seeing an actor on TV and thinking you remember the name of the actor but not quite being able to get it.
Yeah, it has a J.T. Walsh effect.
Yes, exactly. Why do you think this was forgotten?
I didn't finish going into this with Russell Crowe, so I'm going to do that
I cut you
here.
off.
My final answer is I don't know why this is forgotten, because I don't remember enough to say about the film to forget about it. But when I think back to Body of Lies, I go, oh, is that the movie where Russell Crowe talks on a cell phone to Meg Ryan in State of Play? Is that the one where he talks on the cell phone to, was it Naomi Watts? Elizabeth Banks in The Next 3 Days?
Yeah.
These are all movies that came out like one after the other from 2008 to 2010. They all have the same kind of poster. They all have the same kind of tech vibe, thriller, suspense thing to them.
Tech adjacent.
When I thought back to Body of Lies, I'm like, right, Russell Crowe on a cell phone, but it's Cate Blanchett. No, it's Nicole Kidman. No, it's Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah. I mean, did we get Proof of Life in there? I mean, you mentioned Meg Ryan, but he's also talking on a
State
cell
of Play.
phone.
Yeah, Proof of Life is Meg Ryan. Who's in State of Play then?
I don't know who's in State of Play. It's a different thing of something else. State.
It's not a different thing. They're all the same thing. It's the same exact movie.
State of Play. Oh my God.
Rachel McAdams.
and it is also a Russell Crowe movie. And this the poster for State of Play is like kissing cousins with the poster for Money Monster. It's like a lot of little bits of faces looking sad about something going on, sad about the State of Play. Yeah, so it's a movie that blends seamlessly with every other Russell Crowe movie during this period.
In that regard, I mean, I guess it is thematically successful. A movie about undercover CIA operative shenanigans, and it blends seamlessly into the background.
Yeah. But would you say it's a dad trap still after all this?
Yes, I would. Because I feel like this is the type of movie that a dad would 100% watch and be kind of excited about. Like, oh, I've got Sunday afternoon to myself. I just finished cutting the lawn. I got a beer, and I'm going to catch the second half of Body of Lies on TNT.
You know, honestly, that it does sort of make sense because, like, the first half of this movie isn't really about the whole framing a guy for terrorism thing, so it does make sense as a movie you start halfway through because it's like, oh, that's kind of when the movie actually starts.
Here, yes, and as I said that, the scenario actually became clear to me, which is you don't choose to put this movie on.
Yes.
You are a dad flipping through the channels, or you're looking at the on-demand menu, and you're like, oh, what's Body of Lies? Leonardo DiCaprio, spy thriller, interesting. And you click it on 45 minutes into it, and you watch it until you fall asleep taking a nap on a Sunday afternoon.
Nice. That sounds beautiful, actually. So the only people who really remember this movie are the people who do licensing and programming at, like, TNT and various on-demand movie channels.
I don't know. I would say, oddly, this film maybe has influenced more dreams of men who have fallen asleep watching it than a lot of other movies.
So all these suburban dads just, like, dreaming about, like, breaking out of their humdrum existence and getting rabies so they can meet a cute girl.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Should we send this back to modern memory or leave it forgotten out here in the deserts of 2008?
Oh, I mean, like, let's do the thing that we've both already done and forget the movie, obviously.
What if this entirely forgettable movie that doesn't deserve to be remembered, what if we tried to remember it? What if we put it in the remember capsule and sent it back just to see what would happen?
I feel like it's like throwing an ice cube into a fire. Like, it would just, like, puff of smoke. This shit couldn't stand up to the modern world. People, no. We would be run out of town on a rail also. This would come back to modern memory and people would be like, why did you guys give us this? This shouldn't have been remembered.
Fair point. Yeah, I guess there is integrity to our work. So, yes, let's leave this forgotten out here in 2008.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad we did that. So, yeah, then how do we, what's our exit strategy for this seemingly endless conflict in the Middle East?
I don't know. Do you have anyone you can call on a cell phone to extract us? Do we have the machine's
I don't know.
number?
I think we should get the Black Hawk up and fly out of this episode.
Hey, I like that. So let's do that and see everyone here next week for our odds and ends in our mini transmission. Until then, for Truman Caps, I have been Landon Solano.
And for Landon Solano, I've been Truman Caps. If you see something, say something.
Movie Memory Machine is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. Join our Patreon at patreon.com/gruntworkpod to keep the machine running. Theme song by Porky's Groove Machine. Rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. For more information on today's show, visit MovieMemoryMachine.com.